Oi pessoal, eu sou o Bruno Ascari, esse daqui é o Som de Peso. Eu tô fazendo só uma breve introduçãozinha porque faz 15 dias mais ou menos eu entrevistei o Dougie Payne. Ele é o baixista da banda ENTREVISTA. Eu sei que essa introdução aqui, o microfone não tá dos melhores, né? O áudio não vai estar dos melhores, nem a câmera, nem nada, mas é só para poder fazer essa introdução para vocês, porque eles fizeram um show recentemente aqui no Brasil, eles lançaram um álbum novo, que é o maravilhoso LA Times, disco muito bom mesmo, um dos meus preferidos do ano. Enfim, tive a sorte de poder fazer essa entrevista com ele e vou dividir esse papo com vocês. Então, sem mais delongas, vamos lá. So, Dougie, thank you so much for your time to being here.
You're welcome.
And now you guys are releasing your 10th album in LA Times and here in São Paulo with this beautiful grey day.
Scottish people, eh? Scottish people bring the weather with us.
It's just the best to welcome you.
Just to make us feel at home,
yeah.
right?
And I think of this album that you guys are really testing creativity throughout the years. So it's a very mature, maybe a more adult album. And I felt like you guys go from different places and emotions. Places because some of you were in LA and the rest of the band in Scotland and everything. So my first question is how was the writing process? Because Fran is living in LA, and how did you guys catch the vibe and make it?
Inventor, if you like, he creates a sonic landscape that was beautiful and perfect for the record. And in terms of the record's atmosphere or lyrical ideas, the title track "LA Times" is quite an angry song. It's got a lot of swearing in it, and Fran sings it in the most Scottish accent he's ever sung it. So it's an angry song, and I feel like it's maybe about the inequality. It's about, you're walking down Sunset Boulevard and there's giant, shiny Netflix headquarters or Google headquarters or whatever it is, and then on the pavement it's just homeless people in tents and just like, it's crazy. And the gap between the extreme wealth and the extreme poverty has just become so great, so enormous, that it's nauseating.
São Paulo is the same.
And this is what I was going to say, is that everywhere is getting a little more like that. Because LA as a city is because it's so culturally important, because it's with the movies and TV shows and everybody's watching, it's very influential. And what's happening in LA generally happens everywhere else, about 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line maybe. And it seems to be like the canary in the coal mine. And so there are, it's worrying, And we've had a long and good relationship with LA. We made the Invisible Band there in 2001. We spent months there. And we've been back and played there a lot. And it's changed dramatically, and it's kind of a bit worrying that if that's the barometer of where everybody's heading,
And it's growing it's like a tension that is growing.
Exactly. So there's a lot.
For me, it's very close to explode.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension in the record and in the title track anyway. And in terms of kind of the rest of the record, it's almost like trying to deal with or get back to emotions, get back to feelings, So you've got Home, songs like Home, which is about family. You got Alive, which is about loss and friendship. You got Raise the Bar, which is again about friendship. You got what else? Live It All Again, which is about love. So it's like trying to almost re-engage with the real stuff of life.
Yeah.
What actually matters, what actually kind of makes you feel alive, what is the point in life, It's trying to connect with that.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because you said it's connecting. You guys are connected for almost 30 years or more than 30 years.
Yeah.
So how is it possible? What's the secret to have a band so together like all this time?
I don't know. It's interesting. I think if there is a secret, I think that the fact that we've been together as a band since 1996 is one thing, but we've been together as friends since 1990.
Ooh.
So we met when we were 17. I met Fran at kind of art school course, met Andy at art school, met Neil at a shoe shop that we worked in. So we had these 4 friendships, and more because of the interrelational thing. There's these 4 people that were friends before they were in a band.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get a couple of friends, and then they'll ask somebody to join, or they'll put an advert in the paper. But it's quite unusual to have all 4 of us as friends, and then be in a band together. Yeah. So that 5 years, 5 years before we were in a band, that's maybe the secret.
Yeah, because that's maybe you guys are so intrinsic.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I guess that's the nucleus, if you like, around which the band revolves. So, that's the centre of it. And we know, like you say, we've been together a long time, and you know what buttons to press, what buttons not to press, what when people need space, when we all need to be.
It can be a little bit hard.
Yeah. So you kind of treat each other with respect, because you remember the thing that you first attracted you to each other. It's like being married. Yeah. It's like a weird combination of marriage, brothers, family, friendship, but it's like the whole thing. Yeah. It's kind of more than all of those things. It's very strange, but I think it's just knowing each other, and when you're young and you're in a band, you kind of take it for granted. Yeah. You kind of go, oh, this is fun, it's all great, man. And you're kind of, it's kind of like you, and if you get success, it can, ego problems or whatever, you can become a bit of a dick. And I think as you get older, you realise that it's not to be taken for granted. This thing is pretty precious, really. It's quite unusual for a band to be together that long, to still be making records, to never have split up, never have sacked the guitarist, never, it's to be the same 4 guys after all this time. It's precious. So you learn that it's to be nurtured and to be looked after and to be taken care of.
It's hard to get a band like together for 30 years, and more harder it's to have a friendship that lasts.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and especially when you've been through a lot together. We've been through ups and downs, and accidents and deaths and divorces and the whole thing of life, and the band is like this constant. It's strange.
Yeah, so I think it's one of the most beautiful things of you guys, really.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, I want to go back to the sonic of the record of You Talk. And if you can please talk about how Tony Hoffer made a difference on the production, and maybe some references that you were listening at the time to bring it to this record.
Tony is brilliant. It was reminiscent of working with Nigel Godrich, because Tony's made a lot of great records, and he's made a lot of records with Scottish bands as well. So he gets the sense of humour, and the atmosphere in the studio was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and because Tony, as I said, is so musical, he's so empathetic to bands. It just felt like it wasn't effortless, but it felt like it just was all happening as it should. Do you know what I mean? And he was adding kind of like synths and keys and little parts that really elevated things. And so that his sonic landscape for this record really, it did remind me of Nigel's sonic landscape for the Man Who and the Invisible Band. Not so much in how it sounds, but how it felt. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Special, yeah.
And so he was absolutely intrinsically important, and his assistant Cameron was phenomenal too, because they were inspiring and fun and really sympathetic, but really quick and really precise. And that's a combination you don't get: super precise and super quick. So we like to work quickly, and we like to play live, and we like to do all that stuff. So you kept the energy up in the studio, and And he just wanted to do weird things. He was like, first day, he was like, have you ever played a stand-up bass, a double bass before? And I was like, once, 15 years ago. And he was like, great. The next day, there's a stand-up bass. And he's like, I think Raise the Bar should have that. And I was like, okay, sure. Let's
try it.
Let's give it a shot. They're like, kind of make it like Walking the Wild Side.
Easy.
No problem. So there was, and Andy was playing a lot of keys. You know, he was playing guitar as well, but he was playing a lot of piano and a lot of mellotron. So that added another interesting textural layer to it. And it was fantastic. It was a lovely, creative month that we had in a great studio called Dave's Room. Tony was amazing.
Yeah, now you can see the difference. Like you said, it can really sound like elevating things.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a record made in 1 month. So we can really feel like, I felt especially, like I was inside the studio with you guys.
That's lovely to hear, because it's.
I felt like I was really one of your friends.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. The whole thing about us is that's what it's about. It's about connecting, and it's about feeling like everybody's in the band.
Yeah.
That is, when we play shows, that's what it's meant to feel like, because it's like a circuit, you know. And if the circuit starts to build, it's amazing, and everybody feels like they're involved. Everybody feels like they're in it. And so you're the first person that's ever said that about listening to the record and feeling like you're in the studio, and I love that, because it's such a lovely. That's a lovely reaction to have, because it's intimate, you know, and that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be. That's what music's for, is intimacy and kind of connection and making you feel not alone. You know, making you feel like you're understood.
Yeah, because really I got goosebumps right here, because I felt like joyful when I was listening to Gaslight. I felt the irony of, like, I hope he'll spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
And I started to cry when I listened to Leave It All Again.
Me too. When Fran first kind of sent that demo, it was really kind of like fragile thing, and I was like working out parts, and I couldn't get through it without bursting into tears. And I was emailing or texting him, and I was like, I can't get through this fucking song. I'm like fucking crying my eyes out, and he was like, job done.
And to finish here our interview, like, we talk about connection. I know your records really connect with people and make it better for people to come through hard times. Yeah, and I think to finish here, I would like to know which albums helped you to go through difficult times, because I'm a musician too, and I always want to know the references of the people who I like to listen, and like what connects with the deepest soul of you to got through some hard times.
See, when you think of hard times, you think of breakups, and you think of loss, and I think the records that got me through those kind of times, there's quite a lot of them. But I think Jeff Buckley's Grace,
beautiful,
was probably one that really was kind of helpful, you know, and felt like, you know, when music feels like medicine,
yeah,
and it feels like it's what you need. Radiohead's The Bends, a record by Pavement that Nigel made, actually, called Terror Twilight. Let me think. Probably Suede's second record, Dogman Star. I mean, I'm not a huge Springsteen fan, but Born to Run was like a rousing, as an album, was a rousing thing when I needed it. And I needed that kind of energy. I needed to feel like, come on, get back to it. There's so many, it's difficult. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's fine. And Dougie, thank you so much for your time, for having this conversation.
An absolute pleasure.
And thank you really, really so much. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Great. I really enjoyed it. It was a great interview.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Dougie.